Hello guys, welcome back to the Fat Cat Caravan. Thank you for stopping by as always. You guys are awesome. Right, so Space Engineers is out now on consoles. Fine, after it's obviously a PC game, been out on PC for a while and so on. And I'm sure there's loads of people out there enjoying this game right now. But there's a few people that might find this game a bit overwhelming and a bit like, oh my god, where do I do? What do I do? How do I start? How do I do anything in this game? Well, the purpose of this video today is just to go over kind of like 10 things the game doesn't really make clear, doesn't really tell you about. So just to help you on your way. Right, cool. So with that said, let's get into it, shall we? So the first thing, what do you do? Right, well, when you land in your drop pod on whatever planet it's selected for you, whichever point it's going to drop you at, which will point out that you can respawn if you get dumped on a tree, for example, and then your pod just rolls down a hill and just keeps bouncing and bouncing and gets destroyed, you can just do a quick reload and just do that again, just spawn in again. You can do it as many times until you're kind of comfortable with the spawn point. That's the first thing to know. Right, that is the thing you can do. Now the second point is when you come out your drop pod, you will have a seat here, right? Yep, that's where. So you'll be in here and then you just kind of press square and jump out your pod and you'll be on this planet, right? So the first thing to know, in this seat you have an inventory. So if you're in the seat, you press the touchpad on PlayStation. I don't know what button it is for Xbox. I'm guessing it's the back button. But anyway, you bring up an inventory. Now in this seat you'll have a gun and some ammo. So it's just a point to note that you've got some kind of like defense straight away. Okay, so just a quick point that's in your seat. If you plan to destroy your seat at any time, just be mindful there's a gun in there, and it might be worth you kind of like grabbing hold of it. Right, so when we pop out the seat now, where do we begin? Well, the first things first, let's walk around the pod and just have a look at what's on offer here on the pod. Like what kind of things does it have? Now on this one, I've taken it off, but you have a little survival screen right here. Yeah, well, that space is missing. There'll be a little computer screen. In there, you can hold down square. Now, I've actually moved mine to my base. I've made a base already, and mine is actually here. So the screen will be like this. It's called the survival kit, right? You can actually, by holding the square button on PlayStation, I'm guessing on the X button on the Xbox, just hold that button down, and it will recharge your health, your H2O, and your suit power. So that's just worth noting that if you do kind of run out of that, then that's how you recharge yourself, right? So the second thing is you have a battery here, right? Which don't worry, guys. This will take ages to burn out, kind of thing. It will. Yeah, you've got enough time to set up a base, and even more. As you can see, I've set up my base and I've still got 75% of my battery left, so it's fine. On the other side, we have our O2 oxygen and hydrogen generator. So if we press square on that, in here you'll have on mine. Again, I've moved mine to my base, but you'll have a block of ice. I'll just show you here. I've just literally moved it to my base here. So, for example, there you go. You'll have some ice, and you'll have oxygen bottles and hydrogen bottles. Now, oxygen is obviously, if you're on a planet where the atmosphere is unbreathable, then you're going to have, you need oxygen to breathe. So all that comes through ice. Now, ice will generate oxygen and hydrogen. All right. So when that ice runs out, then what do you do? Right. So any planet, well, I say every planet. I want to say every planet has some kind of lake or ocean, and also, like in the distance there, we can see some snow-capped mountains. So that'd be a primary source of ice. So just look for like rivers, lakes, anything like that. They'll be frozen, and you can just sort of drill them for ice. Right. Yeah. So that covers ice. Now you could be unlucky where there won't be ice around for miles. Now that's a thing. If that does happen, just grab as many hydrogen bottles as you can and just kind of use them to scout the area, basically. Now, okay, so I've just touched on ice real quickly there. Now, to build a base, how do you get all this kind of stuff going? Now, I have done a video on this before, showing you how to build, you kind of first set up for the base. But I have noticed a lot of people I find it kind of tricky to use the whole block system, and why is it small, why is it big? So what I want to move on to now is the how to use the blocks basically. So if we click down on our left stick, L3 for PlayStation, Xbox will be like left stick button, whatever it is. It brings up a series of items we can build, and they're in groups as well. All right, so for example, the first one you'll get when you first start off is the light armor block. That's basically the basic most building blocks of your base. So if we select that now with R1, right, we have a block, right? Now it probably be this size when you begin. This little tiny block. You're thinking, oh my god, like it's going to take loads to make this. Well, no, you can actually, by holding L1 and press square, it's a large grid and small grid. All right, so by holding L1 or left button on the Xbox and pressing square or X on the Xbox, you can change the size of the grid. So you've got large grid and small grid. That's basically it. Now, the thing I want to remember is that you can change the blocks kind of orientation. So if we hold down L1 or left button on the Xbox and press R2 or right trigger on Xbox, we can actually change the mode. So we have free placement mode, we have gravity align mode, which basically aligns to the planet's gravity. So if it's upside down, it'll kind of right itself. And then you have local grid mode. Now local grid is for pre-built bases like this, where it will snap to your local grid. So it'll snap, there you go, it'll snap in place. So then you can just keep building. Now, if you don't have a base, obviously, because you won't have a base when you first land on the planet, you can kind of, as you can see, it will kind of put itself down. I mean, that's on free, that's on local grid, that's on my grid at the moment, so it's kind of snapping. But yeah, free placement mode is literally what it says on the tin. You can kind of just free place and put it anywhere you want. Yeah. So that's how you get your base started. So for example, if I want to start my base here, I could just start that and then switch it to local grid, and then it'll just keep snapping, and I can just build my base that way. So that's how you do that. So that's how you basically put blocks down, and yeah, that is it for that. Yeah. If you press the blowtorch right on the D-pad on both consoles, I think, yeah, you get this now. You get components required to build these blocks. Now, I will advise, if you're building, the first thing to do is, obviously, like in my first video, I say to build a wind generator to get power. Obviously, power is the first priority, to get power going, power flowing. That's what you're going to need. That's the first priority, to power the base, power all your systems. That is top priority. Now, what I tend to do is just don't bother filling in these blocks. Just leave them as skeleton blocks, because basically this is what this is a skeleton of a block. Now, you can fill this in when you have the materials. So if we look right on the bottom right of the screen now, we see components required. Light armor block, components required. We need 20 steel plates just to make this functional. Again, I did talk about this in my previous video, so if you go back and watch that Survivor series, you need to build up to that functional line to make this block kind of like finished, as it were. But anything after that, you have an option to add extra layers of protection. So anything above that functional line, again, will be more like. So, but anyway, that's just to make the block full block, like I've got over here. Like for these floor blocks, they're actually finished. They're 100% finished. As you can see, all the tech, it's all textured in, and it's not like a skeleton like that one is. So that's how you kind of just build the blocks, really. It's as easy as that. And also bearing in mind as well, if you want different shapes of block, it's all in there. So again, selecting it. Now you get this little radial menu down the bottom of the screen, that round radial menu. If you press up on a D-pad, you can change the shape of, you can have all corner blocks for roofing and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's how you do that. That's how you change what, and you spin them. You can spin on the axis by pressing left and right. That will spin it that way. If you want to change the axis, press down on the D-pad, and you can spin it that way if you want, and then press down again, spin it that way, and then down again to spin it back and that way. So that's how you kind of, that's all the block kind of maneuverability you'll kind of need to get going, really. So yep, I hope that helps, and let's move on to the blueprints. Now, it's all very well having all these blocks at your disposal, but some are not at your disposal, some are locked, right? For example, this one, the speed module, we can't build this, just for example, right? Now, in order to unlock new blocks, you have to kind of build a previous block to it in that group to unlock the rest of it in the group. Now, by pressing, if you hold it L1 or RB, like right bumper button on the Xbox, and then it brings up this, if you notice the radial menu will change now, like that as I'm pressing it. As you see, you've got your tools and it changes. Now, by pressing left on the D-pad, where you see there's little like computer screens, like a network of, that will bring up your blueprint, your research menu. Right, so here we are. So now, in turn, what we want to do is, for example, this block here, the basic assembler, that links in. If you look at the lines where it links to this row of stuff here. So that will obviously, that I think some of these are unlocked already. I think this one is unlocked, but like Spotlight here with the little pluses by it. If you see the little blueprint with a plus by it, if I for example build this Spotlight now, it will unlock more recipes in this category, and then interior light will unlock, and so on. So we're looking for the ones with a plus by it, really, to unlock new recipes in that group, in that category. That's kind of how you unlock new blocks, really. All right, so I hope that's kind of cleared that up. And yes, you can select from here as well. If you're on a battery, you just press X here, back out of that menu, you've got the battery, there it is, ready to build. So you can, again, you can change the form of it by small block, large block, the same deal here as well. Small grid, large grid, small grid, large grid. Yeah. All right, cool. Right, I hope that kind of clears that up, how you unlock new blocks. Now let's move on to the next section, which will be the PCU. Right, PCU, what is it? Well, it's kind of like your block limit. How much blocks you've got to build, including everything you make will cost you block limits. So if we bring up our pad here, right down the bottom of the screen, you'll see PCU. Can you see that little 3 blocks there? It's got PCU. So we've used 98,000 out of 100,000. That's all I've used so far, because obviously I haven't built much. I've just built this little base, and that's pretty much it. So that's basically what that is. So everything you build, there's a limit. So for example, build this column will cost me 1 PCU, one block of build limit. That's 50 units. That's 35 units. It gives you the PCU breakdown after the description. If you see at the bottom there, basically, yeah, that's how much it's going to cost towards your base. How much resource it's going to take up. How much space you've got out of that 100,000. So that's what that means. Just in case, because the game doesn't really explain everything. So it's just worth noting. I mean, you shouldn't get close to using all that PCU anytime soon anyway. So yeah, I just thought I'll touch on that quickly. Another thing it doesn't tell you. Right, moving on. Now, let's just say you have an unfortunate death. I don't know, you fall out the sky and you just break all your legs and die. Now, this is what caught me out, and I'm sure it's caught a lot of people out as well. How do I respawn, right? There's no kind of hotkey button. Well, there is, but it's hidden. Unless you go into your pause menu and press show help and go into advanced controller, like there's untold controls here, like really, but it's kind of like hidden in a way, because what you have to do is press R3, which is like on the right stick. Just press down the right stick, brings up this menu here. Right now, it does say in the options press R3 to bring up this menu, but it doesn't that's as far as it goes. Kind of, it doesn't really go into depth for like first-person camera. We've got toggle broadcasting, right? We've got open helmet, close up, all that stuff. But then also we've got more. If we press R2 or right trigger on Xbox, we've got blueprint actions. We've got menu, like open admin menu. We've got open chat. Here it is, respawn right there. So again, that's another thing that will probably catch people out. If you die and you want to respawn, it caught me out, so I just want to pass on this kind of info. Right, cool. I just thought I'd touch on that just in case there's any unfortunate deaths. So moving on from that, let's talk about resources. Right, okay, so resources, how to locate them and where are they? Now, on your pod, you do have a ore detector, but in my experience, guys, they're pretty worthless. I mean, it doesn't detect any ores whatsoever. In fact, the only time it detects ores is when you get up close to them. in my experience of this. So my advice is you just take your jetpack, fly in the sky, and look around. What we're looking for is these rock formations right here. So again, I've got a really good spawn point. It's spawning in such a good point. I can see straight away gold. Look, gold we got there. And I've kind of waypointed these as well. So if we fly down to this one, for example, I think this might be nickel, or it's just rock, I think, I'm not sure now. Yeah, so this is nickel, there we go. So it's not until I got my drill, I got up close to it, it's nickel. There we go. Now, say for example, we find, we've got nickel here, we want to waypoint this. So what you want to do then is press your touchpad button on PlayStation, or the top left button on the Xbox. I don't know if it's not the options button, but the other one. Yeah, the back button. That's what I'm going to call it, the back button for now. If we press that, then we've got the menu here. Now, if we press one click of L2 to go that way, or left trigger on Xbox, it brings up a GPS menu. Now, what you want to do, if you want to mark this location, there's an option down the bottom of the screen. If you can see, it says change value, delete. Now, what we want to click is new from current position. So what you want to do is create a new waypoint from where you're actually standing. So if we press square now, there we go. It'll come up your kind of like PlayStation ID. But what you want to do is kind of click on that, delete all that, and just call it what you want. So we'll just call it hello for now. There we go. So yeah, that will be marked now on the yes, there it is. That's right while standing. So if we fly back now, there you go. You can see hello right there. So yeah, so what we're looking for, again, just to spot veins. That's a vein. Those big rocks, that's what we're looking for. Again, over here, I've got magnesium. That's magnesium, as you can see. You can kind of see, it's pretty cool graphics, actually. You can actually see it, yeah. So that's basically what you want to do, is fly up and just kind of scout the area, really. Grab all the bottles you can of hydrogen and just kind of fly around and see what kind of what is about, what kind of veins you've got, if you've got any at all as well. That's the thing, searching for these resources is like I say, the oil detector doesn't really help. I have built one and I've set the range like 150 meters or whatever, but it kind of, it's not that great, to be honest. So my best advice is just take a reconnaissance mission, fly around, see what's about, and yeah, that's how you kind of do that. So yeah, guys, that's just a couple of that's like 10 things the game doesn't really tell you about. Now, regarding like advanced kind of base building after that, I mean, what you want to do is primarily this pod, like I say, will be your main. It's got everything on there. It's got a where you can process ores into metal and so on, which I did touch on my last video, but I can go through again. It's not a problem. So what you want to do is kind of make a mine anywhere. You can start digging anywhere, pretty much anywhere, and you can turn stone into iron. So if we just like get a drill out and start drilling, get some stone like that, and then come back out. Yeah, so what you want to do is put it straight in your survival pods. So this will be your refinery, this will be your life support, this will be your storage space and everything. So what you want to do, go ahead, put your stone into the refinery, and just let it do its thing. And it will create gravel, iron ingots, nickel and silicon wafers. It will create all that stuff automatically. So this will be your way of processing iron, silicon, all that kind of stuff. All the components needed to make the basic building blocks to make a base, literally. So yeah, and once you get started, then again, like if you want to check my first video, I tell you how to, on the Survivor series, I'll tell you how to build a wind turbine, get that going, get power going. But yeah, pretty much, if you have any questions or any kind of comments, I think I've pretty much covered how you get started, the 10 most basic things to help you get started. If you do have any questions, just drop me a comment, let me know. I would love to, I want to help people out on this game because I think it's a really good, solid game and well worth, if you like this kind of base building a ship and taking it into space, then this is like kind of your jam. And it's all done with multiplayer as well. Speaking of multiplayer, I do have a server on Discord right now. So if you want to join my Discord, feel free, and then you can jump onto the Fat Cat Caravan server. I do have a server. It's online, and yeah, you can join. It's password protected, obviously, and the password's in the Discord. And then yeah, we can build bases together and have so much fun. It's going pretty well at the moment. Actually, it's very successful. We're getting players in. We're getting them joining in. It's great. I mean, feel free to knock yourselves out, build what you want to build in my game. It's awesome. All right, guys, I'm going to leave that video right there. I hope you found this very useful. If you have, you wouldn't mind, just give us a little cheeky like. It helps me out. And yeah, consider subscribing for more Space Engineers shenanigans. All right, guys. So I'll see you on the next one. Take care.
PlayStation